Both games implement Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition ruleset, which means that each character has a movement, an action and a bonus action to utilize during combat. There is basically the same spell casting system in both that uses spell slots and spell preparation mechanics. Additionally, damage types play significant role, affecting how weapons and spells interact with enemies. All this is quite obvious and expected from a D&D based game, making it easy for those familiar with the rules to jump in. However, if you go deeper, you would see that these games in fact have a lot of differences and are not the same at all. And that's what I want to focus on, exploring the unique distinctions that set them apart. For one, Solasta and BG have very different approaches to the implementation of D&D rules. Solasta takes pride in sticking closely to the D&D rulebook, trying to transfer it into the video game world as close as possible. On the flip side, Larian embraces a more flexible approach, tinkering with the rules if they thought it would enhance the gaming experience. What this means exactly is that you will find a lot more homebrewing and changes in Baldur's Gate than in Solasta. This statement is true to the entirety of those two games actually, but it is especially noticeable in combat. A notable difference lies in the systems from D&D that Baldur's Gate either omits or significantly alters. Take the cover system for instance. In D&D, characters can find cover behind objects, providing different levels of protection. It grants a bonus to AC against ranged attacks based on the type of cover used. This system is nowhere to be found in BG, while it is implemented in Solasta almost exactly. Another example just like this is the absence of dodge and ready actions. In Solasta, you can ready an action during your turn, allowing your character to perform it between turns if the conditions are met. For example, you can prepare an attack or a cantrip to activate upon seeing an enemy. And the dodge action grants a disadvantage on all attack rolls made against you. Baldur's Gate also removes the ammunition system for bows and crossbows, making basic attacks infinite, with only special arrows requiring finding, crafting or buying. One significant difference I noticed is that Baldur's Gate has restrictive aiming. What I mean is that when casting spells, you can only target the ground, preventing you from, for instance, aiming fireball above an enemy. Conversely, in Solasta, holding shift allows you to aim spells almost anywhere in the world, even in midair. This becomes most evident with conditions like fly. In BG, flying essentially works as an upgraded jump. You're not literally flying around, you can just move from one place to another better than regular walking or jumping. While Solasta allows you to move freely in 3D space and even be suspended in the air, casting spells from above. There are numerous differences like this between the games, with Solasta closely following D&D 5th edition rules and incorporating more systems and mechanics from the source material. However, strictly adhering to the rules as Solasta does may not always be a positive thing. Certain changes in Baldur's Gate were likely made to improve gameplay experience and balance, and I agree with them. Case in point, the elimination of ammunition requirements makes total sense, as carrying regular arrows in Solasta quickly became more of an annoyance than anything else. Likewise, there's a bothersome rule in D&D and Solasta where potions require a full action to use. Due to this, I found myself rarely utilizing any potions. After all, in most cases, your action could be better spent dealing damage or taking strategic moves, rather than healing for a mere 1d6. It's no wonder that making potions a bonus action is one of the most common homebrew rules in D&D. Thus, it's logical that Baldur's Gate also adopted this change to make potion usage more practical and convenient. This goes to show that sometimes tweaking the rules can clearly enhance the gaming experience. The same can be said for the introduction of entirely new rules. One of the big problems in D&D is that martial classes can feel a bit boring. Unlike spellcasting classes that enjoy a variety of spells and cantrips, martial classes often boil down to a few basic attacks each turn. Baldur's Gate has an ingenious solution to this problem. They assigned each martial weapon in the game a set of additional skills that it provides if you have proficiency. So, alongside regular attacks, you can execute skills such as Lacerate, Cleave, Concussive Smash, or something wilder. This clever approach not only makes these classes more engaging to play, but also makes looting more valuable. Also, Baldur's Gate 3 introduces some interesting high ground mechanics. If you have a high ground over your target, your attack rolls are granted an advantage. But if someone holds a high ground over you, you receive a disadvantage. These few simple rules add a layer of strategy to the gameplay by emphasizing the importance of party positioning, a great addition to the game. Let's talk about the fights themselves. They are exactly what you'd expect from the tactical turn-based gameplay. It involves thinking a few moves ahead, positioning your character strategically, and anticipating your enemy's actions. It is great fun for people like me that enjoy turn-based combat. However, the pacing of such combat can sometimes be slow and repetitive. Waiting for your turn, especially with the sluggish animations in Solasta, can become so tedious. And it is such an underwhelming feeling when your turn finally arrives and you just miss your attacks. Especially when there is nothing to shake things up and make encounters more interesting. Because of all this, after around 20 to 30 hours of Solasta, I started to feel like I'd already experienced most of what the game had to offer. Many fights felt similar and the locations seemed like mere arenas for battles. There's a lack of bosses or unique enemies that require strategies. This is where Baldur's Gate shines in comparison. Its combat is much more fast-paced, with characters moving, attacking and casting spells more swiftly than in Solasta, resulting in less downtime. Your characters can move together if they are together in the turn order, and it even works in multiplayer. And enemies too can move several characters at the same time. Locations in Baldur's Gate present intriguing scenarios, like pits to throw enemies into, boulders to drop on their heads, explosive barrels, and so on. Some encounters can have unique gimmicks, others can have unusual enemies that require a special approach. Overall, the enemy variety is huge. The game encourages experimentation. You can throw objects and even characters around, utilize grenades with various effects, and throw potions for tactical advantages. It offers a broader range of spells and skills for players to explore and experiment with. Such diverse gameplay elements create a dynamic and engaging combat experience that is a lot less repetitive. Though to be fair, Solasta also has a few spells that BG doesn't have, including a few homebrews created for the game.
I'll